The Phillies, they fired their manager, man. The Red Sox fired their manager, but things got worse. And apparently they're cheating in Red Sox territory too. Another cheating allegation. Reds and Sal Stewart, they get into another beef. Is Shohei Ohtani washed? Or is he the best player in baseball? One of the best players in baseball is now hurt. Spaghetti is getting eaten at stadiums. There's a groundhog throwing out the first pitch at a game. And the Atlanta Braves, once again, the best team in baseball. First place for the Atlanta Braves. Best record in MLB, best run differential in MLB, first in batting average, first in runs, first in slugging, and first in OPS. 25-10 right now for the Braves. That's their best start since 1882. Best start since they were the Boston Bean Eaters. Matt Olson has 3 home runs this week, 1,271 OPS. He hasn't had an OPS over 900 since 2023, and that is a theme for this team. Ozzie Albies, for example, he's got a 932 OPS. He hasn't had OPS above 800 since 2023. Michael Harris has a 911 OPS, hasn't had an OPS above 800 since 2023. Drake Baldwin wasn't even alive in 2023. He's got a 913 OPS as a catcher. Bryce Elder had a 5.59 ERA over the past 2 seasons, worst in MLB. Negative 1.1 BWAR the past 2 seasons. This year, 1.88 ERA, 6th best in MLB, who was an all-star in 2023. Sucked for 2024 and 2025, and now is good again. So what changed, Mitchell? I'll tell you what changed. The manager changed. That's a guy who will beat your ass. He's already shown it once with a tackle on the field. Speaking of new managers, the Phillies, they got a new manager. So far, it's made a big difference. So going into this week, the Phillies had lost 11 out of their last 12. They were 9-19, tied for the worst record in baseball. They were in last place, 10.5 games back. Okay, they went to a Flyers game on Tuesday, got booed at the Flyers game. They fire Rob Thompson, which is an interesting firing because Rob Thompson, if you look at the numbers, was the best manager in Philadelphia Phillies history, has 1 bad month, and they can him. Immediately try to hire Alex Cora. This is interesting. According to Buster Only, quote, I don't think it's a question on if Alex Cora is going to be the Phillies' next manager. I think it's a question of when. Cora eventually comes to the decision not to go to the Phillies and says, I'm going to take some time off. Let's talk later. Phillies fire Rob Thompson anyway, and then they hire Don Mattingly. His son is the GM of the Phillies. So it's the first general manager, father-son duo of all time, which is insane. And so far, it's worked out amazing. The Phillies immediately go 3-0, beat the Giants 3 games in 2 days. They go 5-1 on the week. Sweep the Giants, won both games of a doubleheader on walk-offs. First time since 2004 Pirates. That's from Sarah Lang. Bryson Stott, 7 RBIs this week. Schwarber went 0 for 8 with 8 strikeouts in a row and still ended up having a 1,195 OPS on the week. So far, so good for the Phillies. The Red Sox tried the same thing, not so freaking good. All right, so going to the week, they were 11-17, tied for the 2nd worst record in baseball. They fire their manager, fire their hitting coach, fire the assistant hitting coach, fire the hitting strategy coach, fire the third base coach, fire the bench coach, and fire Jason Varitek. They fire all the offensive coach because offense suck. Then they come home and they hit 107 with a 492 OPS with runners in scoring position. They go 2-4 this week. They had the 2nd worst runs scored in baseball this week while facing the Blue Jays and the Astros. It gets even worse, guys. Ranger Suarez left the finale with a hamstring injury. Garrett Crochet is on the 15-day IL with left shoulder inflammation. The Red Sox starters have a combined .7 WAR this year, but without Suarez and Crochet, if you take them out, they'd have a negative .6 WAR. That would make them the worst pitching staff in baseball without those 2 guys. Red Sox end April with the 3rd fewest homers in baseball. Roman Anthony has 5 RBIs this season. He had 7 RBIs in the World Baseball Classic. And then Buster Only throws out a cheating allegation. One of the interesting theories about the struggling Red Sox offense is that they believe the Red Sox were impacted significantly by the enforcement of coaching boxes. Apparently, the third base coach and first base coaches were stealing signs really well last year. If you saw last year, the Angels confronted them on the field about that. They got into a big rift about that. MLB came out saying we're going to enforce coaches in the box now. So once they start enforcing the box rule, Red Sox offense falls apart. Suspicious. And then there's another team who have not fired their manager, but probably should fire their manager. That is the New York Mets. They had won 2 of their last 17 going into the week. They play the Nationals and the Angels, 2 bad teams, go 3-3. So on Saturday, Joe Adell gets a single to right field. Jorge Soler gets thrown out at third base while the runner scores. Soler is clearly out before the runner crosses the plate. The Mets decide not to challenge, even though it would have got overturned. and they end up losing by 1 run because they don't challenge this call. The Mets have lost 88 straight games when trailing after 8 innings. Only team in MLB with no qualified hitter with an OPS over 800. But the best division in baseball is the Central, and we had a big beef in the Central. Entering the week, the Reds had won 7 of their last 9, so they beat the Rockies 2 out of 3 earlier this week. On Monday, they had a promotion that if they got 11 strikeouts in a game, they would get free pizza. They needed 1 more strikeout. The ump calls it a ball to take the pizza away from the fans. Challenge.
Tonight, can he win pizza for those in the stands? The crowd ready to burst. That's a strike! Pizza for everybody!
They reversed it. Everyone gets free pizza. Elly De La Cruz becomes the first major leaguer since 1900 with 10 home runs and 8 stolen bases before May. Chase Burns gets his 100th career strikeout in just 72 1/3 innings. Fastest in Reds history. So the first time since 2002 that the Reds were in first place at the beginning of May. The Pirates were going in the opposite direction. They get swept. Their bullpen goes 8 shutout innings in game 1, so there's a bullpen game, then blow a 2-0 lead in the 9th. Then their second game, Braxton Ashcraft, he did allow 6 earned runs against the Cardinals, which is why they lost game 2. And then game 3, they're down 1, 2 outs in the 9th, winning run at the plate. Guy hits a bomb.
High fly ball, first pitch, deep left, Church at the wall. He's got it again, up against the wall.
Cardinals robbed a home run, and they lose on a robbed home run. That's 3 games in a row losing. 4th game of the series, though, is looking good. They got Paul Skeens on the mound, and they got the freaking groundhog, or how do you pronounce it?
Punxsutawney Phil?
Punxsutawney Phil throws out the first pitch, feeding the guy carrots. It was pretty cool. Paul Skeens on the mound gives up 5 runs, 3 earned runs in 5 innings against the Cardinals. This guy cannot beat the Cardinals. He's 0-5 against the Cardinals in 7 starts. 4-game sweep against the Cardinals. Now they're in last place, 16-16. They're going into a series against the Reds. And they turn it around like that, dude. Mitch Keller comes out 7 innings, 1 earned run. Mitch Keller's had a great season, 2.85 ERA. He's been their best starter. 17 runs against the Reds in game 2, and then steal game 3, 1-0 win. So they sweep the Reds. So Sal Stewart, who is the Reds rookie who's going off this year, calls time before the first pitch in the 7th inning, but the pitcher pitching did not like that he called time and immediately just chucks one at him. Misses, but Sal Stewart starts saying, yo, why the fuck did you try to hit me? They start barking at each other. This is during a 15-6 lead. The guy gets ejected, and that is game 2. Sal Stewart gets booed in game 3, but nothing comes of it. But hey, Sal Stewart's second beef of the year. He's had a great season, huh? The most RBIs by a 22-year-old or younger before May in MLB history is Sal Stewart. Another rookie, Connor Griffin for the Pirates. He had a 182 batting average and a 242 slugging. Then he turned 20 years old. Since turning 20, 405 average, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, 3 steals, 676 slugging, and a 1,139 OPS. He's unbeatable at 20 years old. The boys are 3rd in runs, 5th in average, and 4th in on-base percentage on the year. It's really the offense for the Pirates, which was not plot going into the season. So even though the Pirates sweep them, they're looking great. 3rd in runs, they are in last place because this division is the best division of all time. There's only 12 teams above 500 entering Saturday's game. 5 of those teams were in the NL Central. 4 out of 5 highest scoring teams this week were in the NL Central. They went 20-12 this week. All 5 teams are at least 3 games above 500. Cubs, another team. They won 11 of their last 13 games. They went 5-1, went 2 out of 3 against the Padres. Ian Happ goes off, 1,200 OPS. Seiya Suzuki goes off, 890 OPS. Michael Busch, 869 OPS. Pete Crow Armstrong, he's back. 2 home runs this week with an 865 OPS. And Nico Horner takes a pitch to the freaking head. Doesn't even care, dude. Guy eats one to the face, turns to the dugout and says, let's fucking go. And then Moises Ballesteros, 457 batting average, 5 home runs, 14 RBIs, and a 1382 OPS. That's the entire month of April. Cubs can hit, man. 2nd in runs, 4th in home runs, 5th in OPS, 5th in slugging, 4 qualified hitters with an OPS plus over 150. In first place right now, 2 games ahead of the Reds. And the Cardinals, 6-1 this week. They're in 2nd place now. They sweep the Pirates, then beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3. And the Dodgers not doing so hot. So the Dodgers played the Marlins. So the richest team in MLB history just played the poorest team in MLB and lost. So the Dodgers pay more in taxes than the Marlins pay their entire roster. Their payroll is 5 times more than the Marlins payroll. The Dodgers injured list is currently making more money than the entire Marlins roster combined. The Marlins entire starting lineup is getting paid $7.1 million. The Dodgers lineup is making $186 million. 26 times more. So Kyle Tucker is making more than 8 times more than the entire Marlins roster combined by himself. And in the first game of the series, he comes up in the bottom of the ninth with the bases loaded, down by 1, 2 outs, and he gets a walk-off. So Shohei Ohtani gets paid $70 million a year. He faces Kyle Stowers in the 5th. Kyle Stowers makes $800,000 a year. Ohtani gets paid more in 2 games than Kyle Stowers makes in an entire season. Guess what he does? Smacks a single, gives the Marlins a 2-0 lead, and wins game 2. In game 3, the starting lineup didn't have a single player making more than $1 million. Combined, they are making 3 times less than starter Tyler Glasnow. So Tyler Glasnow by himself is making 3 times more money than the entire starting lineup that he's facing, and he loses. Marlins scratched together 2 runs off Tyler Glasnow, shut the Dodgers down and win 3-2, winning a series against the most expensive team in MLB history. Ending the week, they were 19-9, second best record in baseball. They had a first place half-game lead. Guess what they do? They go 2-4, dude. Offense sucked this week. Freddie Freeman batted .250 with a .568 OPS, .250 with a .583 OPS for Will Smith this week. Kyle Tucker, .253 with a .627 OPS, and Shohei Ohtani, .566 OPS with a .188 average on the week. So Ohtani goes 0 for 12 this weekend. This week he went 3 for 19 with a .158 average, .824 OPS on the season. That would be his worst of his career. Ohtani pitched earlier this week on 5 days rest. Usually he'd be pitching on 6 days rest, but he wants to pitch more this year because he's gunning for the Cy Young. Does not hit in the lineup. This is the second time this year that Ohtani just pitched and doesn't hit because he's trying to pitch more. If you're going to pitch more, you got to hit less. As a pitcher, it's working pretty freaking good. So he pitches 6 innings, gives up 1 earned runs, 9 Ks against the Marlins, .6 ERA, first in MLB, 145 opponent's batting average, second in MLB, 198 FIP, second in MLB. So he won NL Pitcher of the Month. He'd win the Cy Young, and he'd be MVP, hands down. He's tied for the most WAR in baseball.
So yeah, the trade-off's worth it.
So I guess the trade-off is worth it. Who I'm really worried about in that division, though, is the last place team, the San Francisco Giants, who, according to Susan Slusher, quote, "I've been covering baseball for 30 plus years. I'm not sure I've seen a worse series for a team." They get swept by the Phillies. They had a lead going into the 9th in 2 games of a doubleheader, blew both games. Giants now have the worst offense in baseball. Only team in MLB not to score 110 runs yet. They're worse than the Mets, which is terrible. The Giants have hit 19 home runs this year. Ben Rice and Judge have 25. They're last in runs, last in home runs, last in on-base percentage, last in steals. They can't even steal, Mitch. Evers and Adames are owed a combined $395 million, and right now they are 2 of the worst players in baseball. They get swept by the Phillies. They get swept by the Rays. They go 0-6 on the road trip, were walked off 3 times, and in the other games they weren't walked off, outscored 15-1. But there's another team in the Bay Area, and they are a better team than them. The Athletics don't have a city, don't have a positive run differential, but are somehow in first place. Carlos Cortez won Player of the Week, 1,092 OPS, third best hitting in the league if he was qualified by OPS. And Shea Bangaliers leads catchers in WAR, average, slugging, home runs, and OPS, 1,117 OPS. That is the best amongst catchers. 6th best position player in baseball by WAR. Shea Langoliers is still the 2nd best player by WAR since last All-Star break. 1,496 OPS with a 955 slugging this week, was the best hitter in baseball. And then my guy, Nick Kurtz. This guy got walked 20 games in a row. On pace for 176 walks. Only players who have had more walks than that in a season: Ted Williams, Mark McGwire, Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds, and Nick Kurtz, guys. You just need to stay in your lane, play within yourselves, take your walk when it gets presented to you, stay 2 games above 500, and be in first place. And that's what the Athletics are doing. Let's cover some of the hottest teams in baseball. The Cardinals, man. So the Cardinals coming in this week had lost 5 out of the last 6. They were 1 game above 500, but in last place this week, 6-1. They sweep the Pittsburgh Pirates and win 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers. And the best guy of them all, JJ Weatherholt, 877 cash now. 6 hits, 3 walks, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs in a series, and hits a leadoff home run against Paul Skeens. It's my money and I need it now, mother. Okay? Don't sleep on the Cardinals. And that is all for this week's episode, guys. If we missed your favorite team or you want to hear us go more in depth on your favorite team, click this link to hear the full-length podcast. We have timestamps for all 30 teams. We cover all 30 every single week. So thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe. See you next time.